So, it's gonna go about a rant here. Black Desert. What do I think about the game? I like the fact that it's open world. I like the fact that there's pretty much endless amount of things to do. There's about a bit of a daily cycle that occurs at level 50 and beyond. That's only to get your character powered up, in some sense. But if you still want to do like fishing, trade wagons, crafting, building everything, learning how to process crystals, building weapons, getting the ultimate versions of weapons. There's a lot to do. There's basically you won't run out. And they had the Medea patch just today, or like yesterday, and then yeah, freaking there's so much. There's a huge new area now for level 50 to 55. That's where you should be leveling if you're at 50 now. But then there's also this game called Blade and Soul. Also had its 50 content come out, and I really don't like that whole theme park thing with Blade and Soul. I don't know why we had to wait 5+ years for that. And here's the thing, I went to the EU server, I made a new character, and I practically soloed from 1 to 48 in about 3 days, and I got tired of this stuff, and it was just like, I did it because I wanted to make you guys a review. But you know what? I'm so maligned by such shoddy game development tactics that I'm just like, because business really, that I'm like kind of offended. Actually, it takes a lot to offend me, and because I'm passionate about games, it's just like I'm gonna tell it to you straight. If you're a premium user in Blade and Soul, you are practically on a pay-to-win schedule versus the free player. A person under premium gets about like 50 bronze a kill at level 45 to 50 or whatever, any of the monsters at that level. And you know what? Free players don't get any of that. So basically for every monster that you kill, and I assume you're going to kill like tons if you play for 4 hours, you make about like an extra like 3 to 5 gold a day on top of the free player. On top of that, you can also market list a hell of a lot more items on there. You can sell the most random crap ever. Crafting in Blade and Soul is absolutely pointless. Just sell everything you've got, materials, soul stones, everything, and you can just buy your Moonwater transformation stones. There's so many bots in the game, and it's unreal. Okay, and then people are complaining on Black Desert Online like, we need player-to-player trading. And it's like, oh, the pay gate didn't stop the gold spammers, right? I'm like, yo, fucking get real. There's always gonna be gold spammers, except that you can't trade in Black Desert. So that fact is, like, if you think you're gonna trade gold, you're just scamming yourself. Okay, you'd have to be an idiot. You'd have to have the IQ of a piece of celery to actually like fall for that, considering there's no trading allowed in the game. So it's like, oh my god. Whereas like Blade and Soul, it's like I've got maybe 10 friend requests from a fucking bot account, and when I block them, they still show up, even though the patch notes say that when you block somebody, you can no longer receive friend requests from them. Well, guess what? The bots can still friend request me. The whole entire friends list is completely pointless in Blade and Soul. The chat is ruined by entirely bot spam, and because you actually can trade large amounts of silver or whatever, or maybe even minuscule amounts, whatever, just do it like over 10 messages, whatever. A bot can like spam like 1 million messages a day. What's to say it can't just get 10 bots and then just, you know, mass mail you anyways? Doesn't even matter. So I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, it's so rampant. It's in the arenas, it's in the fields, it's in the PvP section faction areas. I was like, this is fucking unreal. It's the most rampant botting I've ever seen. And I was just like, how is this even a thing? This is pointless. And then when I read reports of something like, oh, NCSoft claims that Blade and Soul has reached beyond 2 million players, right? And I was like, how true is that? I'm pretty sure you have 1.8 million bots and maybe 200,000 players. That's it, across like the region. And then that's like acclimatingly, like going down repeatedly. And then Tree of Savior, for instance, I really love that game. It's like, you know, soundtrack is stellar. Graphics are okay, not really my cup of tea, but I enjoy the gameplay. and also the synergy between all the classes and the amount of customization you have with the characters, growth in terms of like stats, class path, skill investment. So it's a pretty high degree of freedom. And then the other thing with Black Desert was that same thing, except that you're locked within a class, but then Black Desert's class system really reminds me a lot of Invictus. It's kind of like that whole AP skill system. Black Desert has combat skill points. There is no cap to that. It means that eventually, after you grind long enough, you'll have enough skill points to actually max out everything on a particular class. But then the other things that you get to do are the life crafting professions and the other things that are very, very interesting to me, where it's like you can have some form of an economy within yourself. There's many ways to make money. I never saw a point to trade to trade in Black Desert. I mean, if they did enable trading, the only things I expect is that the traded item becomes bound and becomes worthless towards NPCs. So then if you're trying to help a friend out, okay, yeah, you're actually helping a friend out. You hand them over the item, no silver trade allowed, and then afterwards they can just use like they're like one ingredient short of crafting something. It's like, oh, my friend needed an apple. Okay, sure, here's the apple for them then, kind of thing. And then yeah, that's it. So, but then that opens the whole realm of like, well, what if I'm like a person that's like, you know, crafted all the way to crystals, and new players come in and they can't make crystals, and then you hand them over the crystals and then they just craft out the new weapons, right? And then the new weapons, and then suddenly you've got this newbie who has like the most powerful like weapon that they didn't work at all to get, and they don't even know like half the materials to get it. Somebody just handed it to them. Well then, like, what the shit, yo? And then there's that whole argument as well, right? So fuck, you can of course always buy all those materials. It's like, the other thing is like the marketplace is very regulated in Black Desert by the game systems itself. So like Blackstone weapons and armors, they aren't like skyrocketing in price. They've actually lowered after a few weeks. I remember the first 4 days of launch, the price of one Blackstone weapon was like 600k, and today it's like 327k. So it's actually like, I found that system to be like very, very neutral, and it seems to be doing a good job, but a lot of people seem to disagree. And then the fact that like Black Desert's doing something different, all these other theme park losers come in here and go like, let's change Black Desert to something it's not, and then when they don't get their way, they just left anyway. So I'm just like, well, good riddance. April Fools.